In August 1953, between the 15th and 19th, the CIA and MI6 toppled Iran's elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. Shockingly, around 200 to 300 people died in Tehran's streets as street mobs and military clashed during the coup. Moreover, this secret mission, codenamed Operation Ajax, marked the first time the CIA overthrew a democratic government. And later, oil profits that had been $34 million in 1954 to 55 exploded to $181 million by 1956 to 57, but only for foreign companies. Suddenly, a pro-Western monarchy rose instead of democracy, but it also sowed deep distrust that exploded in Iran's 1979 revolution. So how did this hidden operation really happen? And why do its effects still echo across the world now? Let's dig in and find out. This story started in 1921 when a man named Shah Pahlavi came to power. His rise wasn't exactly natural, the British backed it. Once in charge, he started changing Iran. He wanted to modernize it, kind of like what Turkey was doing at the time. At the same time, he tried to keep both the British and the Soviets from controlling too much of Iran. But there was one major thing he didn't change. He kept the oil deal going with the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. That deal was great for Britain, since it gave them control over Iran's oil business. But for Iran, not so much. This setup didn't last forever, though. World War II shook things up big time. In 1941, even though Iran wasn't part of the war, British and Soviet soldiers came marching in. They said it was to stop Germany from gaining influence and to secure oil supplies. But either way, Iran was caught in the middle. This invasion forced Reza Shah to give up his throne. His son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, stepped in and became the new Shah. And that's where the next wave of drama began. Once Mohammad Reza was in charge, outside powers didn't stop pushing. In 1944, the Soviet Union tried to grab a piece of Iran's oil for itself. Luckily, that plan failed. Still, all this outside pressure, combined with Iran's growing frustration over foreign control, was building up to something explosive. Iran's new leader had a tough time during and after the war. People didn't like him much. He was harsh on nomads, took land for himself, and didn't improve life for most Iranians. Even after British and Soviet troops left in 1946, the real problem stayed. Foreign companies still controlled Iran's oil and kept most of the money. Many Iranians wanted to use their oil money to take back control and build a better country. This fight over oil control soon turned into a big crisis. At the same time, different groups had different ideas. Some backed the Shah because he wanted stability and to keep the British oil deal. The Communist Tudeh Party wanted the Soviets to get a share. An Islamist group, Fadayan-e-Islam, hated foreign control and wanted a religious government, even killing some leaders. But the biggest political force was led by Mohammad Mossadegh and his National Front. This group had leftists, centrists, nationalists, and even religious leaders like Ayatollah Khamenei. They all agreed on one thing: end British control, make parliament stronger, and take the oil industry into Iranian hands. Because of this, in 1951, Parliament picked Mossadegh as Prime Minister by a big vote. He was rich and a monarchist, but pushed big changes, better workers' rights, social security, and land taxes. Still, his main goal was clear: kick the British out and nationalise the oil. He demanded a fairer deal and forced some British oil workers to leave. But the British Oil Company fought back by stopping oil production. In April 1951, Mossadegh, backed by Parliament, announced that Iran was taking full control of its oil by nationalising the British company. He said the long talks with foreign countries didn't work, and now Iran wanted to run its own oil. This move was about fighting corruption and using oil money to help fight poverty, sickness, and build the country. Mossadegh made it clear the British company had no place in Iran anymore. Time to give back what belonged to Iran, but the economy took a hit because Iran didn't have enough skilled people to run the oil wells. Oil production crashed from 241 million barrels in 1951 to just 10 million in 1952, which meant the government lost a ton of money. While Britain and Iran fought over oil, the US got worried. They didn't want the Soviets to take advantage. Even though Moscow didn't like Mossadegh, the CIA was working to stop the communist Tudor party from growing. So President Truman sent diplomat Averell Harriman to Iran, despite British protests. Mossadegh and many Iranians trusted the US more than Britain, since America didn't have big economic ties there. Harriman got the British to try talks again, but they failed, blaming Mossadegh. Still, Truman blocked Britain's plan to take over the Ibadan port. The Shah was scared too, worried Mossadegh's changes could end the monarchy. After a fight about who should control the military, Mossadegh quit in July 1952. The Shah picked Ahmad Qavam to replace him, but people were angry. Even some of Mossadegh's rivals warned of a holy war if foreigners tried to steal Iran's wealth. This led to a 5-day uprising. Many died, but the Shah had to bring Mossadegh back. The crisis got worse, and Iran cut diplomatic ties with Britain. Britain then asked the US for help. When Eisenhower became president in late 1952, US policy changed. His administration was tougher on communism, especially after China went communist and Korea was at war. Eisenhower saw Mossadegh as a threat, fearing a Soviet-backed takeover. Some thought oil interests mattered, but anti-communism was the main reason. Mossadegh's actions made things worse. He stopped elections early, asked for emergency powers, removed army officers, and worked with Tudor members. Some allies like Ayatollah Kashani left him. There's a chance British and CIA agents stirred this unrest. The British wanted their oil back and planned a coup with the US. In late 1952, CIA and MI6 met secretly. British agent Monty Woodhouse pushed the communist threat angle to get US support. The US agreed despite some CIA objections. That started Operation Ajax, a secret plan by the CIA, MI6, the Shah, and anti-Mossadegh Iranians to remove Mossadegh. They used paid agitators, spies, and maybe even former allies like Kashani. Fazlollah Zahedi was chosen to be the new prime minister. The CIA put aside $1 million, which is about $12 million today, with CIA agent Kermit Roosevelt leading the operation. In early 1953, anti-Mossadegh messages spread fast with new newspapers and riots, especially after he shut down Parliament in a rigged vote. CIA agents worked to turn politicians and army officers against him. Then in August, Operation Ajax kicked off. Though what really happened is still debated, the Shah hesitated to act against popular Mossadegh and didn't trust the British. But after CIA agent Roosevelt convinced him, the Shah fired Mossadegh on August 15th with a secret CIA order. Chaos followed. The Shah fled. Zahedi hid in a CIA safe house, and crowds tore down the Shah's statues. Some say those protests were staged, others disagree. Mossadegh's forces arrested suspected plotters, set up gallows, and Tudor protests added confusion, likely stirred by CIA to blame Tudor. Washington thought the coup failed, but Roosevelt and Zahedi kept pushing. On August 19th, crowds were rallied and led into rich parts of Tehran. Soldiers joined, and Zahedi took a tank to the radio station to declare himself prime minister. Rumors say the crowds were paid by CIA, led by Kashani, or stirred by criminals. Still, police and military backed Zahedi. Heavy fighting killed about 300 people. Not everyone agrees who made the coup work. CIA and MI6 bragged about their role, and Eisenhower believed them, calling it a spy novel, but praising Roosevelt's work. Either way, Iran became US friendly. British and American companies started oil drilling again. The success of Ajax encouraged more US-backed coups during the Cold War in other countries. Back home, the Shah and Zahedi cracked down hard, banning opposition parties, hunting Islamic groups, pushing Kashani out, and crushing Tudeh and the National Front. They set up the secret police SAVAK, which scared many Iranians. The US thought they won, but left a powder keg behind. It took decades, and many more crises, before Obama admitted America's role in 1953. By then, Iran had already faced huge upheavals and deep anger toward the US that still shapes the region today. Do you think Iran ever truly recovered from it, or is it still paying the price today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in our next video. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.